My name's Kalthoff, and today I'm going to share with you how to create a flip card with framelits and the Big Shot machine. This is a card that fellow demonstrator Mary Smallage created and showed at one of my last monthly gatherings, and it's really cute. You can see that it has kind of this flip fold here, and so I'm going to show you how to create that. Now, I decided to change the card up a little bit. I used the stamp set called Baby Bumblebee, and this is the card I created to kind of mimic that little flip fold that Mary did. Now, you can use any kind of framelit that is symmetrical. So, for example, Mary used the Deco framelits for this particular card, and I'm using the Labels Collections framelits for my little Bumblebee card. But you could also use hearts or stars or anything that's symmetrical. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to show you is the score lines. It doesn't really require much paper for this particular technique. So I have a 5.5 by 8.5, and then I've scored it. I'm sure you can't see this, but I've scored it at 2 1/8, and then I've also scored it at 4 1/4. And so the next step is to go ahead and get the Big Shot machine into the picture. And here is my Big Shot machine. And then I have my magnetic plate that I have right here. And then the next thing is my cutting plate, which I'm going to put here. And then I have my paper that I've cut and scored. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to use the Labels Collections framelits, and I'm going to use, if you were to line all of these up, the two that I'm using on this card are the number 2 size and the number 3 size if the center one is number 1. So I'm going to use 2 and 3. And on the card for the flip, I'm going to use 3. So what I'm doing is I'm scooting the paper way in, except for where that 2 1/8 fold line is, and I have that right here, and I'm just making sure that the framelit is about even on both sides. And then all I'm going to do is take my second cutting plate, and I'm just going to put that over the top up to where the fold is. And then we can just go ahead and run that through the Big Shot machine. Now, one thing you'll find is if you try to start like this with this bump right here, it's going to be a little harder to do. So it's actually easier to take this out, turn it around, and then put this long piece in first, and then start rolling it through. And it will catch easier for you. And then you just go roll until you go over that 2 1/8 inch score line. And when you take it out of the Big Shot machine, you have your cut only up to the score line. Now, before I do any folding, I'm going to go ahead and do some embossing. So again, I'm going to use my Big Shot machine, and then I'm going to take this is my platform with tab number 1. I've actually cut off the tab 2 so that my customers aren't confused about which tab to have for embossing. So it is at tab 1 that you want to have your machine. And then we're just going to take that honeycomb folder that looks like this, and I did cut off the bottom. It was a little bit longer than my platform, and I wanted it to be the same size as my platform so that I could run it in through the machine. So you can use an X-Acto knife or your cutter. I have a big enough and strong enough cutter that I could just cut right through the plastic. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to set this in, and we're just going to set this in so that it's right up to the fold line. And then we're going to emboss just this part of our card. So again, we set it up with a plate on the bottom, and then our embossing, and then our plate over the top. And then we're just going to roll that through the machine. And now we are just embossing that one particular spot. So it looks like this. Now I'll do all the unfolding and show you how it looks. So here we go. Here's our main fold. So that just gets folded like this. And then this fold gets folded back. And that's all there is to it. See, now you have your flip card. Except I have it upside down. So I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to actually fold it this way. And then back over here. Now we have it right side up. I wanted the little bit thinner part to be at the top. And then the little sturdier part down here at the bottom. So now it's just a matter of layering. So we have our card ready to go. And what I did is I took that same size Framelit that I used to cut out this section, and I cut out a piece of basic black, just a Framelit from basic black paper. And I'm just going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm just going to put that on this black Framelit piece, and we are going to set that onto the front of our card right here. And there we go. And then the next thing that we'll do is add our little sweet Bumblebee. So let me show you that the Bumblebee comes from our Occasions mini catalog. And it's so cute. It's just a little wood mount stamp. Now what I've done is when I got my stamp, I put the bee on the front, and then I cut off the sentiment and put the sentiment on the side. I feel like that gives me just a little bit more flexibility when I use it. So then I just stamp the bee onto some scrap Whisper White paper. I colored the stripes with our medium daffodil blendabilities. And then I just added some dimensionals to the back. And then that just goes right here. Center that in on our card. Isn't that cute? And then I added the sentiment, which I punched out with our ticket punch. And I just stapled a little tiny piece of 1/8 inch black taffeta, added a couple of dimensionals. And then I'm just going to, whoops, I was going to just set this, but I don't want to just set that down on the bottom. I want to add a little bit of depth. So I also punched out a black piece of paper with the ticket punch. And I'm going to use a little multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm going to set this right here on the bottom right corner. Just make sure that's nice and even. One thing that's nice with glue is I can just kind of wiggle it into place, and then that dries really quickly. Then I can take my little baby Bumblebee sentiment, and I'm just going to set that up so that there's a nice black border all the way around this ticket corner punch. Isn't that cute? So there is our completed card, and it looks just darling. So here is my card, and then here is the card that I started with. I guess I need to do a little bit better job folding here, but you get the idea. And so that is my tutorial for today. Hope you've enjoyed learning how to use Framelits with your Big Shot machine and how to make flip cards with them. Have a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. If you'd like to place an order, I appreciate that. I'm at www.stampingtoshare.com. Bye-bye.